Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Carrie Rolled On Show, where we spend 30 minutes or so having conversations that matter to the entrepreneur's body, mind, and business. I'm your host, Carrie Rolled On, and I'm a wife, a mother, a runner, a best-selling author, a personal growth junkie, and your total business BFF. And on this show, we cover topics from marketing and websites to consciousness to hormones and everything in between. Because you guys, I understand, right? I'm on the entrepreneurial journey just like you are. And I understand that it is a journey. And that entrepreneurhood, especially being like many of us who are watching are stay at home or work from home, I should say, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs types. It is a journey. It's a mental, emotional, and spiritual journey. And being an entrepreneur is a journey to ourselves as much as it is a journey to whatever the prize we think is at the end of the road. So it's my mission to help serve you, to help to connect you with the people and resources you need to support you on your journey. So today's episode of the Carrie Rolled On Show is sponsored by Intuitive Art. Learn how to have a two-way conversation with your higher self. And you can take a free intuitive art class at carrierolledon.com/intuitive art. All right, you guys, I am so excited for today's conversation and to introduce you to my guest, Heather Elliott. We are going to dive deep into mindset. And I'm putting that in quotes because Heather and I were talking just before the show about what that really is, right? So what does mindset even mean? How does it affect your business? And why having an abundance mindset is so important for all of us. So if you guys have never been introduced to Heather before, she is a mindfulness expert. Heather Elliott helps people make powerful, permanent shifts in their personal and business lives by changing their limiting beliefs and freeing them to live a life they love on every level. So Heather, I'm bringing your beautiful face on the screen. Go ahead and say hello.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here, Carrie.
I'm glad to have you. And Heather and I both have little tickles in our throat. So if you see us drinking liquids during today's episode, that's why. So Heather, I introduced you as a mindfulness expert, and yet I've also heard you introduced as a mindset coach. And so right before the show, I was asking you what the difference is, and I'm hoping that you will share that answer for our guests now.
Sounds good. Mindfulness to me is the action of paying attention to what you're thinking. It's paying attention to what you're focused upon. It's paying attention to why you're saying or doing whatever you're doing. So it's really getting into the nitty-gritty of what's happening mentally and emotionally. Whereas a mindset coach is paying attention to the big picture of how mindset is influencing your reality. So I'm looking at that point, I'm looking at the psychology of what's happening in your life and in your business and what thoughts you're putting together and how you've constructed your mind that is creating the world that you act in.
Okay, say that last sentence again.
Well, I pay attention to the thoughts, the beliefs, the expectations, the way you've put your reality together that is framing the existence that you have or the world that you're interacting with.
I love that sentence. So I'm just savoring it. So how you've put your own reality together.
Correct.
So that part is mindset, really the study of that, how I've heard it said how your inner world creates your outer world.
Basically, if you can think of your life, Carrie, think of your life like a story, and you're the lead actor. I call it reality TV. Is that you're the lead actor, writer, producer, director of your own play, and what's causing your play to come into existence is the mindset, like the way you've put your mind together. So that, without realizing it, we have a gazillion thoughts, expectations, beliefs, assumptions that are rolling around in there that make us us. And that is on a moment-to-moment basis. It's framing the world that we're interacting with. It's drawing the law of attraction, if you will. It's bringing us the people, the experiences, and the circumstances that reflect what's going on here. So if you want to if you want to understand your world, you have to understand how you've put together this that's creating the world out there.
I love this so much. Those of you guys who have watched the show before, you know this is one of my favorite conversations, right? This idea that we do indeed create our own realities. Heather, I can't wait to actually dive into some of this good stuff with you. But before we go there, I want to say hello to our live viewers. So I see Roseanne is here. Hi, Roseanne. If you guys are watching live, do me a favor and leave a comment. If you're watching on Facebook Live, leave a comment, say hello so that we know you're here. We can acknowledge you, but most importantly, so that Facebook knows you're here too and starts sharing stuff. And yes, Roseanne likes this idea of that she's living in her own reality TV show. I like that too. Okay, Heather, so I know very little about you besides the fact that I have some friends who have worked with you and sing your praises and say you are amazing. You've actually been described a lot like Roseanne has been described is super direct and no BS and gets to the heart of the matter quickly. But yes. I'm super curious how you came to be a mindfulness and mindset expert. How did you come to do the work that you do?
Because I didn't like my life was the short answer. Back in the 80s, I discovered vision cards, affirmations, and subliminal tapes. Okay, and so I learned about the power of the mind to create my world. I was deeply unhappy at the time, and I wanted to change my reality. So what I did was I used affirmations, I used vision cards, and I built my own subliminal tape with a message that said, I am now experiencing blah, 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 blah. And I used to play this tape to myself over and over and over again before bed and when I first got up in the morning. And within a year or so, the change that I had been looking for happened. And so I realized, bingo, this is like really important stuff. Well, then I discovered that there was actually a radical school for the mind out west that was teaching this in such amazing depth and with such amazing clarity that I just had to go to school. So late 80s, early 90s, this is still fringe. There is no such thing as a mindset person. And so I went to school out west, and it's called the Ramtha School of Enlightenment. He taught me neurobiology, quantum physics long before it was cool. He helped me link the role of mind and focus with what we experience in life. He taught me how to focus. He taught me how to shut off my mind so that I could focus. He taught me to trust my inner knowingness. He taught me to walk the route of the inner map as opposed to the external map. He did it in very radical ways, but he got results, and that was where it started. Then in 2000, I discovered a system that was using the very idea that I've talked about here, is that inside here are beliefs and scripts that we use to create our world. And I went to school and I learned how to do that method. And from there, I built my own method. And I started my own method back in 2012, but I was doing this work in 2005. So I turned what I call personal development and changing my own life into a career, not realizing that I would end up in a business and a career doing what I love to do, because the mind has fascinated me since the early 80s.
That's so awesome. I love how, right, one of the things I'm super interested in is the entrepreneurial journey and the evolution of ourselves through our businesses. And I love how your story is an intersection of that, right? It started with personal evolution, and then it was business. And in talking to you right before the show, right, I know that your business is evolving too, going from working primarily one-on-one with entrepreneurs. Do you work with people who, besides entrepreneurs, or are you primarily focused on entrepreneurs?
I've been focused in the last 5 years with entrepreneurs, but I also do relationship coaching, because relationships are nothing but belief systems that are either working for you or clashing. So I do that work, and I've done communications workshops and things like that. I've had many careers, should we say, that all combine. Yeah.
And just incarnations. What I find is the way we show up in our business, right? We just keep evolving more and more into who we're truly meant to be in our business. So I was super fascinated by what you were saying about a group that you're running currently with entrepreneurs that's a bit of a pilot group and what you're learning so far. And I think it will lead super nicely into one of the 6 billion conversations I'm excited to have with you. But that is right. This is a show about the conversations that matter to entrepreneurs, body, mind, and business, right? We're talking about their minds, but as we've already kind of alluded to, what's going on in here affects what's going on out there. And since many of us think, believe that our businesses are going on out there, right? What's going on in your mind affects your business. So what I'm curious is, what is the conversation you think we ought to be having on this show?
Well, the conversation that I'm having with my masterclass has to do with helping them to flip out of the mindset of being a human into the mindset of a creator. That's probably the single biggest flip that has to happen. Because as humans, we have been taught all sorts of things through society, through education, through our interaction with our families that suggest that we're powerless human beings, that on our own we have no innate worth or value unless we're providing worth and value in the world out there, and that the world is separate from us, it's not part of us. So at a very young age, we're taught this powerless, vulnerable, helpless type of mindset, and we're not taught how to be creators. So part of the flip that happens is how do you step into the shoes of the creator to look at your business not as something that's separate from you, but something that's unfolding from you. And so the biggest mindset shift is really stepping into the shoes of the creator. And what does that exactly mean to you when you're stepping into those shoes? And it's using all of the things that I've used in my own life, the vision cards, building your own kind of subliminal messaging, affirmations, etc., that work for you, but really challenging the mindset, really being mindful of what's going on in your head and what are you creating from? Do you get up in the morning and do you focus on where you're taking your business? Do you focus on the vision cards of where you're going in your life? Do you know how to create your world? And do you do it very intentionally every morning? And do you create intentionally throughout your day? Or do you go into what I call the pinball universe, which is boom, you're awake, your alarm clock just went off and you're out the start gate, and then you're hitting all of these posts, which are all of the the people and the circumstances and the experiences of your life, and then you fall into bed at night exhausted from having reacted the whole day, having created nothing, just being on autopilot, just being in a state of do through your entire day without any conscious intention of what it is that you're creating. So slowing this all down to say, you are first and foremost a creator. You need to start your morning in that way. And from there, you then mindfully find the alignment within you that moves you through your life in the flow of it, instead of reacting to all of these people and circumstances that you've got going on.
Okay, just you saying that, just you speaking that brought peace over me. Like while you were talking, I found myself taking deep breaths. Oftentimes when this happens on a show, I'll get goosebumps and recognize, I know that when that happens in my body, it's because I'm resonating with truth.
Yes.
So the thing that I liked most, well, one, I need to acknowledge our comments are saying, yes, 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 yes. And your life is unfolding from you. So yes. I would like to actually talk about this idea that we are creators, and what that really means, right? Because it's one thing to say, well, one, I think many entrepreneurs understand they're creating something, right? They're creating a business, they're creating something. But they tend to think of that as like my analogy is hands in the clay, right? And I'm sensing that the type of creation that you're talking about is different. And I actually want to go back to something you said at the very beginning of the show. You said mindset is how you've put your own mind together. Mm-hmm. And so can you connect those dots for me that I am a creator and I've put my own mind together? So I guess the question I'm asking is, who's the I that we're talking about?
Yeah, that's a really good one, because that is the creator I that puts their mind together. What I say to my clients when I work with them on a one-on-one day is we dive deep into an issue that they have, or a block, or a limitation, or whatever it is. And what we discover is that the mind that is holding them back is usually a mind that was developed in childhood, or at the very latest in adolescence. And it's a way of seeing themselves in the world that is limiting them without them realizing that it's limiting them. So that's what I mean by we put our mind together. Even a child, like some of these stories go back to the time that you're a fetus in the womb, that you are picking up energy, you are picking up emotion, you are picking up attitudes of people towards you. You are picking up the emotional, either the emotional wealth or the emotional garbage of your parents and the surrounding environment. And what happens is people get caught up in these this reality of other people, and they start seeing themselves through the lens of what's happening outside of them. And then this becomes the mind that, if you can think of like a house, it's like a foundation to the house that is called your life. And it could be built on a foundation of, I'm not wanted, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, there's something wrong with me. Like, these are typical limiting beliefs that most of us hold in either large portion or small portion. Like, it just depends on how you were raised. So that to me is the mind that we put together, because without realizing it, a child, in like a fetus in the womb, does not know that their impressions of themselves that they are concluding, I'm not wanted, for instance, is going to affect them 36 years later when they're trying to move their business forward. You know? And the thing is that we did it. Everything that we accept as truth, whether it's truthful or not, becomes our frame of reality, and that will now get projected outwards. So it's going to unfold from us in a series of circumstances and events that we are going to reinterpret as confirmation that this is the truth. So that's what I mean. That's the I. So we are already very powerful beings in the womb, making all of these grand decisions that are going to affect us for our entire life until we decide to change our mind about things. And we don't realize it. So without understanding our power, so from the time we're a fetus until whatever age you are today, you've been making decisions and having expectations and having assumptions. And you've done it all quite quietly, quite unconsciously, without awareness. And your mind has been forming. And everything you dump in there is now going to become the reality you're going to unfold out there. And life is going to become a confirmation of what's going on in here. That's what I mean about the I.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. What I love about, well, it's interesting, right, that we talk about the mind, and both of us have been pointing to our heads, right? But it's my belief that the brain and the mind are really different things, right? And that the mind is a lot bigger than us, right? It's much bigger than our physical body. And I'm not sure why I brought that up, just that I think it's interesting that we're like, both of us are conditioned to point to our heads, but what you're really talking about is some of it is chemical reaction in the brain, sure, but you're talking about something bigger, right? You're talking about something spiritual. When you talk about the I, when I was getting at what's the I that made the brain, right? Go ahead.
The I is consciousness. The I is that divine part of ourselves that has power. It's not thought per se. Like all of this stuff that I was alluding to about I'm worthy or I'm not unworthy. This is just simply wiring in the brain, chemistry in the brain. And it is a very small, it's isolated to the physical reality we're in right now. But you're correct. There's a much larger mind available to us. One that is outside of that limited scope of the human that we've been taught to be. And that's the creator mind that I'm talking about moving entrepreneurs into. Is what is that mind that we're talking about? What more is there to us and what's available to us when we stop thinking like this little limited human being and start thinking as a divine being that we are? And, you know, how does that change how we interact with our world and how we get up in the morning, etc.? So that leads into this whole idea of being a creator. This is an entirely different organization of information that's available to us. And it's coming through many channels, books, courses, etc. It's coming to us piecemeal. So we're acquiring the knowledge, bits and pieces. But what I'm finding with entrepreneurs in particular is how do you roll that all into a comprehensive way of approaching your business so that you're not approaching from the limited human, this is how you do business perspective. You're approaching from, oh, I'm a divine being. Oh, now what does that mean when I build my business from that? And I'm not talking just about business planning. And so I want to have, $60,000 in sales next year or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a brand new way of approaching your business that has higher self or spiritual self as your business partner.
That's what I'm talking about too. That's why I'm so excited to have you on this show. And I want to say hello to Chantel, who is just joining us. But yes, that's what I'm talking about too, is a whole new approach to business. I feel like that's, as this show is evolving, that is one of the themes that just keeps coming up. And before, so there's two things I want to get to in the next 10 minutes. And actually, while I'm gathering myself, you want to tell people, because already I know you've blown some minds and people are going, oh my gosh, I need to work with somebody like this. So what's the best way for people to get a hold of you, Heather?
My website is mindfulchange.com. And there's a form on there, contact me, that you can fill out, or you can just send me an email at heather@mindfulchange.com and tell me that you saw me on the Carrie Roldan show and you want to talk more or you'd like more information on whatever, and I'll respond.
Perfect. So you guys, and I'll put those links in the show notes as well if you're watching this YouTube or somewhere else. I promised at the beginning of the show that we would get into abundance mindset, right? This is sort of a buzzword in our industry. And people understand that we need to get into abundance mindset. But when you and I were talking before, I was expressing to you one of my frustrations when I used to work as a marketing coach was that I recognized, and maybe this is how creator, I think what I'm getting to is how does this idea of being the creator tie into an abundance mindset? Because what I was really frustrated with is part of it was, right, I was not necessarily in alignment with what I was marketing but I felt so out of alignment as a coach because I knew people were coming to me for a specific result in their business and they expected that result to come a certain way, right? Through marketing copy or Facebook ads or whatever. But what I recognized and why I've made such a shift in my own business is that result wasn't going to come from Facebook ads if they didn't first make that inner shift. So I'm talking about that and I'm sort of putting pressure on you to lead that to abundance mindset. If you can't, don't worry, but comments on that first.
Okay. So abundance mindset for me, okay, we talked about little mind, we talk about expanded mind. The law of spirit is abundance, which says there are no limits to what we can experience in life, okay? Which is why when I teach the abundance mindset is to say, you are a creator, therefore whatever you desire to experience is possible in the realm of spirit, but you cannot shut it down and say it has to come through Avenue X, Y, and Z, which is the marketing track. This was my mistake in business, is assuming that there's a template of business through which I'm going to achieve my business success. And when I tried going down that road often enough and I kept hitting walls and it felt wrong, I finally said, you know what? Screw it. Screw it. I am not going to do any more of that stuff. I'm going to step aside. And I asked myself the question, so Heather, what is working in your business? Oh, okay. So I'm going to do just that. And I'm not going to do anything else until I feel that inner alignment that says, you're going to do this next, which is my masterclass that you and I talked about. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'm doing a masterclass and I'm working with groups. And I went, wow, look at that. But that wasn't me, little me, ego me. That was my higher self saying, hello, Heather, you have a journey here. You have stuff you need to contribute. You have stuff you need to learn. This is what we're doing this year. And I went, 2 thumbs up. Thank you very much. And this is abundance mindset, is assuming, what, my higher self probably has a better plan than I do. Is that when I try and get into ego brain, which is all of the business practices that we have been so conditioned to think are going to get us the abundance we're looking for, that's when we lose our way. So I'm going back to brass tacks, which is, number one, how do you use a vision card properly? How do you use subconscious commands properly to create your world? what does it look like when you're aligned with your inner flow? What does that actually feel like? And how do you start your day? What kind of decisions are you making? How do you make higher self your business partner instead of somebody out there that you've deemed is more appropriate than your higher self to lead you in your business? You know, as soon as you flip it around and say abundance is, and then you catch yourself saying, I can't afford that, swat yourself a dandy here. And it's like, okay, edit that one out. And let's look instead about, oh, how could I afford that? Build a vision card. You know, I have something called the walk that I teach people. But, you know, it's like, no, like we are abundant. So, you know, it's looking at all of that and it's rewriting that inner story that says there are limits to what we can experience. You know, hogwash. There's no limits to what we can experience, but we can't tell. You know, what I found about abundance when I slept into an abundance mindset, it doesn't always come through my business. It can come in other ways. You know, I wanted a house on the water. I inherited one. You know, like, and it came and it was exactly what I'd always wanted. I dreamed of a ski hill in my backyard. My mother went out and bought a chalet at a mountain in Quebec, you know, and suddenly we had access to a beautiful ski hill. Like, and I looked at it and went, oh, well, that's interesting. So like, as soon as you start to remove the barriers on what abundance can be, the same with your business. You know, people assume, oh, I gotta build a business to $500,000 a year so I could have vacations every winter and blah, 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 blah. And I say, don't put the pressure on your business. Start dreaming of the life you want to live. Start building, start creating that life. And if it happens to come through your business, cool bananas. If it doesn't come through your business, look for the ways that it's going to come. Because the one universal law there is there is abundance. There are no limits. So why are you limiting yourself? And why are you putting such pressure on your business that it has to be through that?
And you know what I find is when you put the pressure on your business, your or the specific path in your business that it has to come from, you're limiting the universe. Like the universe is trying to give it to you, and I have a friend, and we run every Sunday, and we talk about we make fun of each other, and we talk about our journeys, but she is notorious. Like one of the things that she admits about herself, and that's like my job on our weekly Sunday runs, is to remind her where she is. She calls it putting God in a box, right? Or limiting God. But what she tends to do is say, she's so good at being open and praying for something and knowing that it will be answered. And so she will do that. But at the first sign of the answer, right? At the first, like, she's like, okay, God, I'll take it from here. And then like turns the car off the road and goes a different way, right? And I'm guilty of that too. We all are. But what I hear you saying is like, just let it come. However, in a way that feels aligned and feels good. What you said earlier about only doing what's working, right? And what you find out is what's working happens to feel amazing and be really easy.
Well, that's the other thing, is that when you stop making it hard, when you start just, you know, creating it and following that inner path that will rise up in you to show you what you need to be doing. You know, you happen upon the people, like you have the conversations, you're intuitively guided to the right resources that lead you where you need to be. And it's all quite effortless. It doesn't have to be hard, but people put themselves under incredible pressure, and in today's world are spending enormous amounts of money getting what they think is the marketing or the business help that they need. They need some business guru or some marketing expert, etc. I don't know that they do. Like, until you're aligned this way, until you feel like you've got a good connection into your higher self, until you feel like you're traveling an inner path that you feel connected to, I don't know that you can know what you need. And the best thing you can do is learn to listen within and really get aligned and do whatever feels the most right.
Preach, Heather. Like, this is, I love it. You're singing my song. You're speaking my language. I feel like I could talk to you about so many topics forever and ever. Amen. I love this conversation because your vocabulary is different than mine, and it's refreshing. I want to point out one of our comments. Roseanne says, Heather, gosh, you make this so obvious. Our limitations are so ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you. So I know we have a hard stop today at 30 minutes. So I just want to thank you so much for being on the show. Guys, if you want to connect with Heather, her website is heather@mindfulchange.com. I'm sorry, that's her email. Her website is mindfulchange.com. Her email is heather@mindfulchange.com. Oh my gosh, don't you want to reach out to her now, continue this conversation, and see how she can help you remove the limitations in your business? Heather, thank you so much for being a guest. It's been my honor and my pleasure. I can't wait to have you again.
Well, it's been a ton of fun for me too, gotta say. Well, thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. I'm glad it was a joy. And everybody else, you remember that today's episode is sponsored by Intuitive Art. You can take a free intuitive art class, which teaches you how to have a two-way conversation with your higher self, which interestingly enough, I didn't even know that is what Heather is about too. So if you want to take that free 30-minute class, it isn't Heather's. It's actually from Rachel Archelaus, who is also aligned and amazing. You can go to carrieroldan.com/intuitive art. So that's my suggestion to everybody, is that you do those things. If this conversation resonates, go to carrieroldan.com/intuitive art, and also go to mindfulchange.com and hit that contact form to get a hold of Heather and see how working with her might help you. Thanks everybody so much for being here, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Carrie Roldan Show.